Hello, everyone. Zakari here. Welcome to episode 4 of my Minecraft 1.18 Let's Play series. I have some pretty big plans this episode, so first I'm gonna need to do some mining. My girlfriend and I hopped on and we just did a mining session for like 4 hours, got a lot of diamonds and some leather from some cows and then a whole lot of experience, and all of this was perfect for enchanting up some good tools. So this way we are ready to start with our big objective for this episode, which is a combined iron golem farm and villager trading hall. So here we are in my creative testing world where we are going to design our dual purpose farm. I've already had some ideas of how to make this. So the overall concept is fairly simple. You get some villagers who have slept and have professions, scared by a zombie, and they will spawn an iron golem. So we just want to cart that zombie all around, and as it goes around, it scares the different villagers. My original designs, I think, focused a little bit too much on the Iron Golem part. Again, because I think I tend to think of farms as, the most fun part. But for this new design, we actually want to focus on the villager trading hall part. So we're going to have the zombie going around behind all the houses. Each house, I'm thinking, is going to be pretty much just a bed and a workstation. And we'll make these cute little houses, one for each villager, and I think that'll look really, really cute. And then we'll build just a couple more houses just like this one. Sweet, now we have 3 test houses built, and apparently the iron golems will spawn on the topmost block that they can. I think it's like 6 blocks or whatever from where the villagers are. But what that means is we can just create a roof over top of these, and they'll actually spawn on the roof up there. And now we're just going to pretend like I didn't erase these guys' roofs with the command to create the ceiling. So now they should all be back to normal. So now if we spawn some zombies in here, we should end up getting an iron golem up top. And that doesn't seem to be happening. So I know we need to have all 3 of the villagers scared at the same time. Oh, I see. I think I know what's going on. So if I remove this, now all 3 of them can see that zombie. We should get an iron golem spawn up here. Yep, there we go. Awesome. So now we can go ahead and start building this in our survival world. Here we are back in our survival world at the top of the mountain. Although I'm going to be building the farm sort of in the middle, probably near where we have a lot of the other farms already. Because this base is going to be a volcano design, I want to make sure that I don't build the farm too big or too small, so this way the proportions look right in the end. I think this is just about where we'll want to have the edge of our volcano from the center. So this is about 40 blocks away. So I feel like 50 blocks for the total size of our farm from the center should be perfect. So now we just got to figure out how far down we want to build this. And I was thinking what would make perfect sense is the same level as our current tunnel so far. So where we have a couple of our farms, you just keep walking and then there's the villager trading hall. So yeah, that's right here. You can see it's about sea level, and I think its position in the cave is going to make it a little bit easier. So this way it's not so much that we have to dig out. And now I've marked out the size of the farm using clay here, going in each of the directions. So we'll have an idea of how big to make this. So now we're completely set up to do the big dig. Let's go. All right, so here we are in our big area that we dug out, the big donut, and we could see just how big this was. I totally didn't feel like it was going to be this big until I was actually doing all of the digging, and I think I might have overdone it a little bit, just because this took me about like 20 hours of actual in-game time between just all of the mining and then using my XP farm to repair my tools. And it just took absolutely forever, but I'm really glad with how just cool this looks. I think it's gonna look even better once we start getting the villagers in here and build them all the little houses. One thing I did not realize is just how small this cave actually was. It looked so much bigger until this was actually put in here. But, this is the size of the cave. It barely even covers the little stretch of the middle of this. There's just so many blocks that I dug out to get you all this amazing view right here. I think I can actually see it on statistics if I go to items. Yeah, that's a lot. Right now, we are all set though to begin working on the next part, which is going to be building all of the little houses. And of course, I totally forgot that I need some materials to make these houses with, and I don't want them to just be plain stone or stone bricks or anything like that. We should add a splash of color, and what better than some terracotta? It was right near my base, so I figured this will be perfect, and we can use some of the dyes to give us some nice colors. All right, so here we are back in our villager trading hall, and we have all of the terracotta that we're gonna need. I'm gonna be using a lot of the red and yellow because I think that looks just really nice, and these are very bright blocks. I did want like a blue shade as well because I don't want to just use two colors. I think that'll look a little weird. And then so there's this purple. Now it's supposed to be light blue, and I think I actually really want a light blue. And so for this, I think I'm going to be using the actual concrete instead. So I got quite a bit of gravel and I had some sand lying around. So I was able to make some of the blue concrete as well. And I think these three will look nice, but I think we might still want another color. And so I'm wondering if maybe just the white terracotta will look nice. Again, the terracotta kind of has more earthy colors. So this isn't really white, it's more like a light tan. And I think this will be a really cool color palette to build with. These four colors will give us room to be able to kind of randomly pick between the four. Anyways, before we can get to building all of these houses, we're going to need to convert the concrete powder. And I have a pretty cool idea for that. Pretty much all that you need to do is put down a bucket and then put this in your offhand. You can just kind of do this, but you can see it kind of makes a little bit of a mess. So I was thinking, for how simple this is, it probably would just be a ton easier if I build just a tiny little spot where I can just consistently convert the concrete. And it should be pretty simple to make too. So I think I'm just going to make it here. And so I'm just going to plop down a chest and some hoppers going into that. And so now we're just going to add the terracotta to the sides just to hold the water back, and add some obsidian so this way we won't accidentally mine the blocks behind where we're digging out. And now we've got the water in there and we are all set to go. And now by just holding down both mouse buttons, we are at full speed ahead converting all this concrete. And just like that, we are all done with the concrete and we are ready to start building some houses. And you know what that means. Let's hop into a time lapse. So you may notice that there's some things different than the ending of the time lapse. We did a little bit of extra work. So all of the villagers now have a bed and a jack-o'-lantern underneath that bed, and that is going to make it so this way there's no monsters that spawn near them, and also just make it a little bit easier to see all the villagers. And you'll also see that I put up a fence to make sure that the villagers don't end up falling down into the cave down below. That would be pretty bad. We kind of need all of them. So now we're just going to need to get the villagers in here, and you might have seen right now that there's an iron golem out there, so I want to let you know I got 2 villagers earlier. I grabbed them from the village that we found in the desert all the way back in episode 1. And so I've just been placing down a ton of beds and giving them some food, and now we have quite a few villagers. We just have to move them all down there. And this process actually went a lot easier than I thought it would be. So pretty much I just had to start getting a couple of the villagers, and I had to move them by boat. But after that, the rest of them kind of just followed each other. I was debating originally using a minecart system to move all of the villagers in here, but given that I just had to get them down the length of the tunnel and they kind of tend to stick together, I'm really glad that I just went with this approach because I think it saved quite a bit of time. So you might be wondering what happened to all of my levels, so I'm just gonna show you a quick clip of what happened. I may have accidentally punched a golem instead of mining a bed. All right. Oh no, I mined my home bed too. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit rough. I think I'm just gonna have to swim and run the whole way back home. Thank goodness it's not too far. But hopefully I can get back and get all of my items before the 5 minutes are up. Because I really don't want to lose all of the good stuff I had on me, especially those pickaxes, because they took quite a while in a lot of levels to get those good enchantments. Whew. What a relief. I'm so glad that they were still here and that the Iron Golem wasn't still mad at me. So anyways, back to our villager trading hall. We have moved all of the villagers on in and everything's looking great. The only thing is we actually need some more villagers. You can see in the back here, there's no villagers on this half. And so we've just got to breed up some of the villagers. You get some bread. And you get some bread. And you get some bread. So now that we have the villagers breeding up, we should end up filling this village, and we can always just toss in some more bread later if we still need some more villagers. But we are ready to continue working on the farm. And now we'll start on the Iron Golem part. And so now we just need to go ahead and build on top of this roof. So we are going to be building a block and a half above all of the roofs here. This will then be where all of our iron golems spawn at this level. So in order to give the iron golems the 3 required vertical spaces to spawn, we're going to need to mine another layer off the top. So if you are following along and wanting to build what I built, just make sure that you mine 9 blocks tall instead of the 8 that I did previously. And now we're just going to be continuing to build this ring all the way around to the same size that the lower floor is. So let's jump into another time lapse. Let's go. And here we are back from the time lapse. I went ahead and cleared the extra layer on the roof, and as you can see, we already have tons of iron golems spawning up here, and the villagers aren't even scared. This is just from them gossiping, so I think this is going to be a really fast iron golem farm too. So I'm really excited about that. So now that we have that in, we can start actually working on where we want to flush the iron golems out of here and then collect their iron. So I've marked out the midpoints of each section, and what I'm thinking is we can use each corner as the spot that we kind of push them to, and then they can go down a chute from there all the way down to our killing spot. So I've actually realized this is kind of a complete nightmare. If you see this side over here, I had to do quite a few little chutes to get the water to not push them into the corner. And so I'm wondering if I just switch the direction of the water and kind of start from this diagonal and go to the flat edges. That should make it a little easier, because then the water here, even if it pushes a little bit to the edges, it won't push nearly as much. And this will be the new strategy to make this kind of W shape going across. And this way the water doesn't form those source blocks like it would if you just did adjacent water buckets on a diagonal. We would end up with a complete pool of stagnant water. But since we do this every 2 blocks, the water sources aren't going to combine, and we'll get this nice pattern that we can just repeat all the way down to the center point. And now for the next layer, we can just do something like this. And you will notice that there are some water spaces being removed, and that's okay, because we're just removing one water space, and that just means we'll have to put an extra little bit of water in here, but that's totally okay, because this isn't really taking that much resources anyways. We have an infinite water source, and the pressure plates are just made of stone. Now, sometimes you might find yourself in a situation like I am right now, where I have a water source right here, and if I put one here, it'll turn this to a water source, and that won't be any good for us. So you can actually just put a pressure plate there and the water in that corner, and now it's all still pushing away from the edges. So I want to give you another quick progress update. I was able to get 3 out of 4 of these done with the exact same pattern that I've been following. I have noticed that a couple of the iron golems keep spawning on the bottom layer, which means that they're not going to be flushed away by the water here. So that will eventually break our farm over time. I don't really have the time to figure out what's going on and fix it right now for this episode, but if you stick around for the next one, you will definitely find out. So now it's just been a couple minutes since I finished the last one of these, and so I have all 4 of the water sections completed. We have all of the golems coming down, so I'm wondering just how much iron we have collected so far. So this one looks like that was just 2 golems, I think. Okay, this one doesn't have any. Okay, this one's a little bit better. And our last one. Okay, that's pretty good. We ended up getting 56 iron and 10 poppies. But I'm really happy with all of the progress that we have made in this episode. It is just crazy how much time I've spent working on this farm, but also how cool it is looking. This has been an amazing episode. I feel like we've gotten so much done, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks for watching. This is Zakari, and I'll catch you later.